bit nervous, so I fed some material. So my name's Paul, and as we've established, this crowd is shit in Latin. So it means small and humble in Latin, okay? And that's because I was tiny as a baby, okay? I'm obviously small and humble. Shakira must have been shitting herself growing up. But obviously now, middle-aged, the hips don't lie. So I was born premature. Unfortunately, that is a trait that's continued in adulthood. But we don't talk about that. In fact, that joke was meant to come there. I live in a small village called Linemouth in Northumberland. If you've heard of it, well done. And things about Linemouth, it's an old mining village. It's got a real community feel. Everyone knows each other. In fact, you're told if you're over 50 now and you want to look at your family history, you have to go to ancestry.com. Which is really easy for my dad because he's got 5 arms, so he's doing that. I've recently started living in Linemouth. I moved back there after a while. And living by yourself's hard, isn't it? Like, obviously we've got the cost of living crisis. I thought I was doing fantastic for the first 6 months because every time I got a bill, it said outstanding payment on it. I'm in court next week. But I don't work where I live, obviously. I'm actually a teacher. Yeah, teachers in the audience, thank you for coming. I teach at a school in Roughbury. It's a Church of England school. And when I first came to the school, I was really nervous because I'm not really religious. So I thought, what can I do to impress the head teacher? And I thought to myself, it's Easter coming up, it's Lent, I'll give up something for Lent. But I'm a teacher, I can't give up alcohol, that would kill me. I can't give up chocolate. So I decided to give up fish, just for the hell of it. Now, I must admit, it was a long, hard slog, even just for fish, but after a long time, I can safely say after 6 weeks, I found cod. I wasn't always a teacher though in Roughbury, I taught in Sunderland, but the Tyne Tunnel every day, that takes its toll. Before I was a teacher, I used to work in a Muller yogurt factory. I used to steal all of the compartments of jam. They fired me for cutting corners. I used to work with the police, but the only arrest I made in 3 years, the only one I had was a cardiac. I used to work actually randomly, this is really random, in a Dutch shoe factory, cleaning the toilets. That was horrible, because they were always clogged. But eventually I decided I'm sick of looking for careers, so I went to university. That's what you do, don't you, when you're sick of working out, you go to uni. So I trained for 7 years. 7 years I went to university to become a barrister, only to find out that Starbucks don't actually accept that level of qualification. Also the week I found out I was dyslexic, ladies and gentlemen. It was a rough week, that. It was a rough week. Eventually though, I did go to uni. I studied English, for real, not made up. And English, second year, lecturer pulls me in. She says, look, Paul, we've got a problem. Every essay that we do, whether it's Austen, Shakespeare, you're putting in really obscure Lord of the Rings references. And you're going to end up failing. Well, actually, what she did say was, if my memory serves, is, you shall not pass! I said, look who's talking. But after university, obviously I got back into teaching. I moved on to teaching. And obviously now I try and keep myself active, I try and do things. I love a good stag do. Anyone love a good stag do? Ben? Stag do? Yeah? Went on a stag do 2 years ago to Blackpool. It's 15, the easiest thing to do when there's that many people there. We put money into a kitty. Yeah, that was my first warning from the RSPCA. A couple of months ago, we had another stag do. Now, there's a rule, men will know this, there's a rule. what goes on stag, stays on stag. You can't tell anyone when you get home. And I'm really bad at this. I'm quite a blabbermouth. So I was quite impressed when I got back that I didn't let the cat out of the bag. But unfortunately, that was my second warning from Larry's busy. So I'm in court again next week. My mate was actually in court as well last week for arson. Pretty serious arson. But because he used the lighter, because he only used the Zippo, sorry, he got a lighter sentence. Ruined the joke. Ruined the joke. And you know the joke. I've always loved Lord of the Rings as well. Went to a Lord of the Rings bottomless brunch. Fancy dress. Decided to go as Aragorn because that's what my physique closely resembles. But after 2 to 3 hours, to be honest, I came up as Legolas. I know. But I haven't always just enjoyed stag do's, got loads of hobbies. I trained to be a magician. Got kicked out of the magic circle. We're playing poker one night, and all of the cards had like caramel, biscuit, chocolate on. I had completely forgot that I had 2 Twix up my sleeve. I did an arts and crafts group. I tripped over all the paintings, easily done. And then the second arts and crafts group, I got kicked out just for, I'm not very good at it. You'll see, I'll show you. I felt horrible. I also went on a Scouts leadership course, that was interesting. I got my embroidery badge when I was camping, that was so intense. And I also did my sheep herding badge there. To be honest, I quite enjoyed that. In fact, you could say I had a field day. Apart from that, I like going to gigs, I like meeting celebrities. I bumped into Elton John in concert. I have no idea what he was doing just outside of Durham. I saw Elton in Florida. I was in Florida at NASA, out to the space station. I said, Elton, what are you doing here? This is a bit random. He says, don't you know I'm a rocket fan? But finally I saw him in Sunderland live, okay, fantastic. One of his last things he did, that's before he started to wind down the years. His finale was don't let the sun go down on me. I thought, bloody hell, Elton, you chose the wrong place to do that, yeah mate. You should have got himself a line with next. But yeah, I'll finish with this guy. So the most famous celebrity I ever met was Rick Astley, and I absolutely love this man. And we've got to be friends over the years. So I bumped into him last week and he says, oh Paul, nice to meet you, how you doing? I said, I'm doing great, Rick, thanks for asking. And he says, look, I've got my daughter coming around tomorrow. I haven't got anything, sure, like I've got no DVDs or anything. Have you got any Disney DVDs? She loves Disney. I said, yeah, sure, Rick. Look, I can give you Lion King, I can give you Cinderella, but I'm never going to give you up. Thank you.